Hey there, this video comes from the PigCake Magic Academy. The reason I'm putting it here is to hopefully entice you to join. Some people think that I'm idiotic for putting out the entire content here for you to watch, but you get access to over 1,200 videos, I believe 1,300 at this point if you join. So go ahead, you can look at the link in the description section below and see the type of content that I'm putting out on the Academy. So make sure to check it out after you watch the video. So on today's Card Academy lesson, what I thought I'd do is to remind you guys as to what the most important thing is when it comes to learning any bit of sleight of hand with a deck of cards. I'm reminded of this constantly every time somebody reaches out in private messages or maybe in a one-on-one video and they have a difficulty learning any particular move. And it always boils down to the same exact thing, which is grip. Now this is not going to be a tutorial on how to improve your biddle grip, your mechanics grip, your straddle grip. It's not going to be anything on that. It's how to improve your magic as a whole when it comes to cards specifically. Now I've already had a whole lesson on grips and how to hold a deck of cards and how to properly do it. However, I keep getting reminded of this, and I think it's something that everybody should get reminded at least every once in a while when you're having difficulty learning any particular bit of sleight of hand. This is also the #1 factor that lets me know between a person that's advanced with card magic and somebody who's just starting out, or maybe someone who isn't necessarily comfortable when it comes to a deck of cards, and that is the grip. The tightness specifically. The moves that we use in card magic are not designed with a hard grip in mind. A pass, a double lift, a control, a break. They're not designed with pressure. And a deck of cards, if you think about it, it's a very fragile thing. We have a bunch of paper that's coated, and essentially it's acting like paper. So if you bend it, if you crimp it, it's going to react accordingly. So when you hold a deck of cards, you should be holding a deck of cards tight enough so that it doesn't fall out of your hands, but no tighter. And I see this running through Instagram all the time when I'm scrolling through the feed and unfortunately looking at magic tricks to get inspired. I notice the difference between people who are comfortable with the deck and people who are just starting off. And it's always the grip. I notice that people that are seasoned, that are advanced, have a soft grip. When you hold a deck of cards, it should be a comfortable experience. Not once have I ever had any sort of paper cut. Not once have I ever had any sort of damage done to my hands with playing cards. And that's because I was lucky to learn early on to not press on the cards, to not hold them. I had to treat the deck of cards that I had as carefully as I had to, because it was the only one that I was going to get. So I treated it with care. And throughout the years, eventually it became crimped, but it was still a deck of cards that I treated as lightly as I possibly could. And I noticed that most of the sleights that I was learning became relatively easy the lighter the grip. A pass is not designed to have a death grip on the card. It should be a very light grip. That's what's going to allow the packets to transpose as smoothly and as seamless as possible. So let me illustrate what I'm talking about here. If you have a deck of cards and you place it on your palm as such, with no grip whatsoever, if I want to grip on the cards, all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my fingertips just to hold the deck, and that's it. Right now, if I were to turn the deck over, the cards are not going to fall, and that's the grip that you want to have. Even when it comes to something like a riffle, notice that the riffle, it's a counteracting pressure. So my forefinger curls underneath, and that's why I decide to riffle on the side. I'm not scrunching the deck. I'm not being rough. There's no need to ever be rough with the cards. If I'm trying to do something like a spread court and I'm tight, even with a movement that requires a little bit of pressure in order to get that card out, you're never going to perform the move. It's a light touch, and that light touch allows you to continue to carry out these actions without difficulty. I know it's very easy to say, and it's very simple. However, this is going to change your entire experience. Once you start learning that a deck of cards is not something that you have to manhandle, your moves are going to become a lot easier. As I mentioned earlier, a pass is not a move that's required to have the cards gripped tightly. You see these illustrations and you see these bits where you have to have these fingers there. It's not something that's designed to be performed that way. No magic is designed to be performed that way. When you hold a deck of cards in biddle grip and you're having them in your hands, it should be a light touch. Even when it comes to an action like a double lift, notice that I'm letting the weight of the cards carry the action for me. Even with a move that requires what I would say is a moderate amount of pressure, like a pressure fan, you're still not putting in a lot of force. So it's really a sign to me whenever I see a magician that's been seasoned and has had their way around a deck of cards, how they grip it. You see that their fans are very loose, and they're not necessarily holding onto the cards and pushing them in any sort of aggressive way. The card should be essentially an extension of you. So my advice is that if you're having particular difficulty learning any sort of move, is to lighten the grip. That's the first thing you should do. By treating the cards as delicately as you possibly can without letting them go. Of course, you don't want to just drop the cards. However, you want to have enough of a grip where the cards are in your hand, they're comfortable. You're not squeezing them against any sort of body part. And you're going to find that your effectiveness when it comes to learning any new move is going to become exponential. It's just food for thought, but it's something that's definitely going to improve your magic without putting a lot of effort and just being more attentive to the condition of the playing cards and what they actually are. Even something like a swing cut. I see a lot of people that are having a hard time learning something as simple as that, and that's because of the overexertion of pressure. You're putting too much pressure in the cards. All you need is a light touch. I'm going to put as light of a touch as possible, and that's enough to lift up the packet squarely and firmly. So keep that in mind. It's just something I wanted to put here on the Academy just to remind you guys as to how you could improve your magic without necessarily putting a lot of effort. And it's little touches like these that just simplify your life overall. So I just wanted to put that here again. I thank you guys for being part of the Academy. I know I say it every video, but I really, really mean it. I really am glad that I have a list and a group of people that enjoy this content and are really enthusiastic about learning card magic and learning any sort of magic whatsoever, because hopefully you see that I'm as passionate as you are. As always, I hope to see you on the next lesson.
I see you again, when 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 I see you again.